The habitable zone of its star, or the range of distances where liquid water might exist on a planet's surface, has been found to have a planet the size of Earth, TOI 700e. NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite data was used to find this planet. It is 95% the size of Earth and most likely composed of rocks. Welcome back, everyone. Today's video will discuss NASA's discovery of a new Earth-sized planet in a habitable zone. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Let's begin. The TOI 700b, C, and D planets were the first three planets in this system to be found by astronomers. The habitable zone is where planet D also revolves. However, it took researchers another year of TESS operations to find TOI 700e. This is one of only a few systems with multiple, small, habitable zone planets that we know of, said Emily Gilbert, a postdoctoral fellow at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California who led the work. That makes the TOI 700 system an exciting prospect for additional follow-up. Planet E is about 10% smaller than Planet D, so the system also shows how additional TESS operations help us find smaller and smaller worlds. Gilbert presented the team's findings at the 241st American Astronomical Association Convention in Seattle. The Astrophysical Journal letters approved an article on the recently discovered planet. A tiny, cool M dwarf star called TOI 700 can be found in the southern constellation Dorado at a distance of about 100 light-years. Gilbert and others announced the finding of three planets in 2020, including the Earth-sized, habitable zone Planet D, which is in a 37-day orbit. The innermost planet, TOI 700b, orbits the star every 10 days and is nearly 90% the size of the Earth. The orbit of TOI 700c, which is more than 2.5 times larger than Earth, lasts 16 days. The planets are likely tidally locked, meaning they rotate once per circle so that one side always faces the star, just as the Moon always faces the Earth from the side of its orbit. TESS observes broad areas of the sky, known as sectors, for around 27 days. These prolonged gazes enable the satellite to monitor variations in stellar brightness brought on by an event known as a transit, in which a planet appears to pass in front of its star from our perspective. Starting in 2018, the expedition followed this plan to investigate the southern sky before moving on to the northern sky. It went back to the southern sky in 2020 to make more measurements. The researchers improved the first planet sizes, around 10% smaller than earlier estimations, because of the additional year of data. Planet E is situated in the so-called optimistic habitable zone between planets C and D on TOI 700e, which may also be tidally locked. The range of distances from a star where liquid surface water may have existed at some point in a planet's history is what scientists refer to as the optimistic habitable zone. To either side of the conservative habitable zone, where scientists believe liquid water might last for most of the planet's lifetime, lies this region. This area is where TOI 700d orbits. Planetary scientists can learn more about our solar system's past by discovering other systems in this region that have Earth-sized worlds. According to Gilbert, further research into the TOI 700 system using both grounds and space-based observatories is ongoing and could provide new information about this unusual system. TESS just completed its second year of northern sky observations, said Allison Youngblood, a research astrophysicist and the TESS deputy project scientist at Goddard. We're looking forward to the other exciting discoveries hidden in the mission's treasure trove of data. TESS is a NASA Astrophysics Explorer project managed by NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center and led and operated by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge, Massachusetts. The Center for Astrophysics, Harvard and Smithsonian in Cambridge, Massachusetts, MIT's Lincoln Laboratory, Northrop Grumman, situated in Falls Church, Virginia, NASA's Ames Research Center in California's Silicon Valley, and the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore are additional partners. This mission involves more than a dozen colleagues, research centers, and observatories from around the world. The TOI 700b, C, and D planets were the first three in this system to be found by astronomers. The habitable zone, often known as the Goldilocks zone because it is the ideal distance from a star for liquid water to exist on the surface of a planet and because the circumstances are neither too hot nor too cold, is where TOI 700d also circles. The region around the star, known as the habitable zone, is where temperatures are just right for liquid water to exist on the surfaces of neighboring planets. Imagine supposing Pluto was Earth. Earth's ocean and a large portion of its atmosphere would freeze, and the sun would be just dimly visible. But if Earth replaced Mercury, it would be too close to the sun. Its water would form a steam atmosphere, and it would swiftly boil off. A small, cool M-dwarf star called TOI 700 can be found in the southern constellation Dorado, about 100 light-years from Earth. Gilbert and a group of researchers reported finding 3 planets in 2020, including the Earth-sized habitable zone Planet D with a 37-day orbit. According to NASA, TOI 700b, the star's innermost planet, is 90% the size of Earth and orbits the star every 10 days. The orbit of TOI 700c, which is more than 2.5 times larger than Earth, lasts 16 days. According to astronomers, the planets are likely tidally locked, which means that one of their sides constantly faces the star, and they rotate just once during each orbit like the Moon, which always faces Earth on one side. The star system called TOI 700 is around 100 light-years from our planet. It was found to be orbited by 3 exoplanets, known as TOI 700b, c, and d, and was discovered in 2019 by the Transiting Exoplanet Survey Satellite, also known as TESS. The Earth-sized stony planet TOI 700b is the one that is nearest to the star. The gaseous planets TOI 700c and d are slightly larger than each other. Because all 3 planets are in the habitable region of their star, they may have liquid water on their surfaces and be able to sustain life as we know it. The newly discovered TOI 700e may also be tidally locked and orbits its star in 28 days, putting Planet E in the so-called optimistic habitable zone between planets C and D. By completing its initial 2-year survey mission in 2020, TESS had captured images of about 75% of the starry sky. The most recent Planet E finding was made possible by the mission's expansion, which involved finishing an additional year of monitoring. TESS has discovered 66 new exoplanets, in addition to approximately 2,100 candidates that astronomers attempt to confirm. That is all for this video. We will be back soon with another informative video. Don't forget to like and share this video. Until next time.